Welcome to Lights in the Night with your host, Russ Johnson. Uncover the truth about alien contact and hear from insiders who reveal the evidence. Stay tuned.
Well, welcome once again to Lights in the Night. Really appreciate you being here. For those of you who have been following us for the past 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 weeks, whatever. We have a guest today, a very unique person. Pam Jenkins is a psychic, an intuitive, a channeler. She does remote viewing, all of the above. And we want to find out what's going on. Remember now, this is UFO, UAP. This is Paranormal 101. So it's basic. And I want to find out all the definitions of all the things that I just said, what her capabilities are. Pam, wonderful. Thank you very much for being with us. Appreciate you being here today.
Thank you for having me today, Russ.
Oh, it's my honor. I met you at the fair a couple of weeks ago. How was that event, that expo in Boca Raton?
I enjoyed it, and it provided me some much-needed connection with like-minded people, and getting to do a little self-healing.
Oh,
I've been kind of isolated away from like-minded people for a while,
oh, is that right?
and
Okay.
I needed that.
And then you went on the road to New York and had another big expo up there. How was that?
Well, we went up there and we did some modalities and got some ideas about some things that we'd like to put in our healing center here in Virginia that we would like to open.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's
And,
so that's really stepping it up then, huh?
and that's what I want to do is step it up to help the people that are still here on the earth. For
Okay.
as long as we're here, we need to be of help and assistance to people.
Well, I congratulate you for taking on such a magnificent, enormous project. This is something to come all the way from some parts of the universe here to be incarnated to do what you do. Tell people, Pam, why did you come here? Why did you come to this planet? And tell us about those souls that incarnate in this planet at this time particularly. I mean, it's very important for people to know that.
There are a lot of us that have incarnated to help heal the earth
Uh-huh.
and to heal the people that are experiencing a great deal of pain.
Mm-hmm.
And, that pain is because of the many, many, many incarnations, reincarnations. And so they are carrying ancestral pain
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
from thousands of incarnations. And most people think that what they're feeling is just physical.
Wow.
And it's manifested on the physical because they have been ignoring their emotional pain for so long.
Uh-huh.
And that's what we're here to help heal. And there are many people like me, and there are people that are at varying levels of awakening to the process of being able to do this kind of work.
Right. So,
You don't start out as a shaman, okay?
okay. Okay.
You start out basic. You might start out as a tarot reader or a
Okay.
palm reader or a
Okay.
psychic, but that the more incarnations you have and you connect with that, you
Uh-huh.
keep going up with it. And it's all about the internal intentions within your heart as
Okay.
to how those gifts develop.
Listen, Agent Casey was doing the same thing years ago. Was he
Yes,
not? Yeah. I mean, was that difficult for him at times?
I'm sure it was.
Okay.
Anybody that does this type of thing in this dimension, it's difficult because we're up against a lot of belief systems
Right.
that demonize the very thing that we do. And
Yes.
it's not that we're here to hurt people. We're here to help them heal, but because everybody has their locked in belief systems, and no matter what that belief system is, it is not all inclusive. No matter what you think,
So it's really a
you know,
challenge.
it is really a challenge for people to get through to what the healing needs to be, because you have to tap into each person you're working with, into what it is that they believe, so that you can understand where they are and how you can go about it.
Wow. I'm looking at Deuteronomy 18:10 through 12. You know what it says? I mean, I hate to read this, but you
No,
mentioned it.
please read it.
You mentioned this is so challenging. This is it is an abomination to seek out mediums or or consult with psychics, etc., etc., etc. So you just said it. You got an uphill battle. How do
Yes,
you?
we do.
Okay, but there are other folks like you who decided to come to this planet at this time. I
That's
call it
correct.
the year of disclosure.
I call us the boots on the ground.
Okay, so how does one know what his or her purpose is? I mean, there's so many people here, 9 billion, right? How do you know what your goals, your objective, your purpose for coming to this planet? How do you know that, what that is?
Well, I've had a connection with the invisible my entire life, okay? And I've always been comfortable with that connection, okay? Even when people would stand and tell me, no, you're wrong, or, you're not hearing what you're hearing. Through trial and error, I have learned to trust what I get from the invisible far more than what I get from the human that's standing in front of me. Because the human standing in front of me is answering, responding, reacting based on their own need for healing. The voices that I connect with from, we can call them off planet, we can call them spirit guides, we can call them aliens,
Mm-hmm.
whatever you want to call them.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot of different people that have a lot of different belief systems.
Mm-hmm.
And, any way you want to look at it, I can go any way. That's how many times I've done this, and how much lucid memory I have of what I'm doing.
Wow, wow, wow. So, how does abductions fit into all of this? The people who have
Belief
been abducted.
systems.
Huh?
Belief systems.
Explain that.
Okay. Have you been abducted, or are you going into a trance-like state and going into the higher dimension and getting information that you need when you come back into this dimension? That's just
Ah,
another way to look at it.
I see.
And if you get abducted and you're in a position where you're fearful, that abduction is not going to be fun.
Uh huh. So, when you go to sleep at night, you could be going out of body, astral projecting to.
Not could be. You are.
Oh, well, tell us about that. Because I wasn't taught all this stuff. Nobody told me
Neither
that.
was I, Russ. It's stuff that I have picked up and learned and remembered through the years. You know, 20 some years ago when I started working with my own shaman, um, in heart to heart, I just knew to trust him.
Uh huh.
Okay. And, that's how I connect with people, is by feeling their heart energy. What did I say to you when I walked up on you in the expo down there?
That's just what you said. You said you could feel my heart energy.
That's right. And that's the first time you and I have ever met.
Absolutely.
Well, I
Uh,
navigate through feeling people's energy, and that navigation tells me who's likely to um, come after me and
huh.
who's likely to befriend me.
Wow.
Because the more serious the issues that people have, they don't even know why they get stirred up around me. The light that I carry, and the angels that walk with me, and the spirit guides that walk with me protect me. I walk with an invisible army,
I see.
and that invisible army has constantly got my back. And then I've got people on this planet that have my back.
Okay.
And so
But
it's a matter of understanding and feeling and hearing and learning to trust what you're getting.
okay.
All of us have this kind of protection,
That's what
but most of us look at it as something to be afraid of.
I
And
see.
so they shut off the connection.
So we you think people were programmed to resist those feelings, those intuitions, those ideas that
Do I think they are programmed?
Huh?
The answer to that is 100% yes. This
Wow.
planet has, we incarnated to come down here to have some fun. And then after we had some fun, we created a whole lot of crap. And
Wow.
we have forgotten our divine connections. And
Wow.
that's what we're here to do now is remember those divine connections. And the people that are trying to help people remember those divine connections are having a difficult time on
Wow.
many levels.
So it's a challenge.
It's a big challenge.
Uh-huh. Okay. For those people who are like me, who are kind of novice and kind of in awe of all of this, uh, to think it's possible to have been given an assignment before birth, right? Before you, from
Again, that's a leveling thing. Now, at one point I was shown we write our own stories. All
uh-huh,
right. Think of it at the top of this Trinity. Think in Christian terms. Father, Son, Holy Ghost.
right,
The Father is our highest self. The Holy Spirit is the indwelling guidance.
hmm,
The Son is the human aspect of us. And when you connect all that, now you see that symbol, right?
yes.
Now, do you know how demonized that symbol's been in the last 15 to 20 years?
Have I seen it?
I said, have you heard how demonized it's been?
Yeah, the Illuminati uses it.
Yeah. Why do you think they tell people that's a bad sign?
I see they're trying to dissuade them from,
Turn things upside down. When you turn things upside down,
right.
they don't mean the same thing.
I see.
As above, so below.
I see. How do, okay,
So the connection. What's that?
okay, I'm glad I have you. How do you help people? Let's talk about that. I don't know the process or the
If
procedure.
when I have an emotional connection with somebody, I am able to tap into what their healing issues are,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Because I can feel them. And when someone comes to me that I'm not emotionally connected to, if they will allow me to interact with them, then I can help them with what their healing issues are
Mm-hmm.
because I can get a direct connection to their ancestral guides who will tell me
Wow.
exactly what's going on. But when the guides are telling me something and the person sitting in front of me is telling me no, the reason they're usually telling me no is because they're not ready to deal with that aspect of it.
Wow. So what I hear is that we all have guides and helpmates around us.
Absolutely.
Is that right?
Every single person on this planet has a team that works with them to
Wow.
try and get them to remember who they are.
Okay. How would you help me or any of us to do that? How would you help us to tap into our guides, our self, our sensitivity, our intuition? How would you help us do that?
Well, the first thing you have to start doing is meditating. You got to clear that busy mind. Most of us have what we call monkey mind, where, the wheels are spinning
Right,
24/7.
right.
And now people have a really hard time clearing that spinning wheel because of all the um,
Topsy turvy things are going on the planet.
not only that, but the sensory the sensory issues that are going on. They're in sensory overload. That's the word I was looking
Okay,
for,
okay,
overload. We're
okay.
in sensory overload. And I mean, think about this. We're giving technology to 2 and 3 year olds,
I see.
okay? And things like this affects the brain waves.
Uh-huh.
And what we're trying to do is bring it back where people disconnect from all of that so they can reconnect and hear and
Right.
listen,
Okay.
and get back to the heart instead of listening to all the stories we keep telling ourselves. So, what we have to do is start with a guided meditation. And when you use a guided meditation, maybe the first time that you do it, you're not going to shut your mind down. But after you've done it repeatedly, over and
Okay.
over and over again, just like the habits that we formed with the first thing we do in the morning, we get up and instead of lighting that cigarette, we pick up our cell phone.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Instead of doing that first thing, get up and meditate,
Right.
get up and exercise,
So
be
you can teach
exposed
us
to
how
the
to do
sun.
that. You can teach us how to
Yes,
do that. Okay.
yes, that's
How
part of
how?
what I'm
Okay.
doing at this point.
Listen, we don't have much time, and this is all new to me and a lot of other people. How would they get in contact with you to be guided along these lines?
My website is heavencallingearth.com,
Uh huh.
all together. My telephone number is 914-620-5776. And my email address is heavencallingearth@gmail.com. And
Okay.
I'm all over social media, still under Psychic Medium Pam Jenkin or Pam Jenkins with the S.
Okay. So, do you have people putting you on social media? Instagram and YouTube and iHeart and all that.
I'm on those channels. Yes, I've been doing a lot of the posting myself, but I'm looking to get some help back up to, keep that going.
Uh huh. People do
Because
volunteer.
I'm trying to do the work rather than having to do
Right.
the
You can't do
um,
everything. Right.
oh, too many hats to wear.
Right. Right. So you need a VA to help you from time to time,
Yeah,
right?
I do.
Yeah, I was looking at some VAs for some things I'm doing, even to help me with this program, and I'll call you and let you know those individuals I've been in contact with. Very reasonable
Okay.
and and
All right.
and and, and proficient in terms of what they do from different countries. A guy called me out of Egypt the other day, but anyway, I'll give you that information.
Okay.
Let's do one, two, three. One, two, three. If I were to call you, how would you know, since you're not in my presence, so to speak? Because when I first met you, we saw each other one on one.
Right.
How how would you know? How could you feel the energy or my sensitivities or my intuition? How would you determine that?
Well, the first thing I do is connect with the person, whether it's through a Zoom call or FaceTime.
Hmm.
I also have been able to pick up just being on the phone. I don't have to see the person. They just have to interact a little bit when I say, what are you here for? Because,
Hmm.
rather than doing all right, prove to me what you're doing is the real deal, because I've kind of moved past that stage in what I'm doing. It's interact with me so that we can get to what you need really quickly rather than me having to prove that what I'm doing is actually
Hmm.
channeling your relatives.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Right.
Like I would say to you, Russ, what is it that you were looking for when you came to me? And you would either tell me that it's, a life situation that you're, dealing with, or, a relationship issue,
Hmm.
or you wanted to connect with a loved one, any of those things,
You
and
can
then
do
I
all
can go
that.
right to it. Yes, absolutely.
All
And
right.
I can go right to it, but, I can't go right to it if people won't interact with me, if they want me to prove what I'm doing is what I'm doing.
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying? That's
Yeah.
why it's
Yeah.
a cooperation thing.
I see. Yeah. When you went to New York last week, I mean, you left Boca Raton, Florida, and you went to New York for the same, because I met Laura Eisenhower there, the great great granddaughter of
Yes,
the
I
president.
met her as well. I actually got one of her books signed
Oh,
when I
okay.
got to New York.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She said she's going to be with us one of these weeks. But anyway, uh, what kind of response did you get when you went to New York, if I may?
I had a crowded room. I mean, the room was packed.
Is that right? Standing room only, huh?
I didn't do a booth. I just went up there and did a lecture.
Uh
Okay.
huh.
And there was only one person in the room that I had met at the New Life before, and I had told him I was going to be there, so he was there. The rest of the room was packed with people that were brand new to me.
Wow. Wow.
The people that are supposed to come to you are attracted to you based on what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And, I can pick up pretty quickly whether or not somebody is open to the work that I do.
Okay.
Through the years, Russ, I have had people, we'll start a reading and it'll be, say, a 45-minute reading. And in the first 10 minutes, I can tell they're not going to interact with me and
Ah,
that they're going to reject every message. And I have stopped the reading and refunded their money, because that's a waste of my time and theirs and their money if
I
they're
see.
not going to work. You see what I'm saying?
Right, yes,
You
of
know,
course, of course, if they're not going to get a benefit out of it. But there's so many people that need help these days.
the whole planet,
I would say yes.
the whole planet,
Uh-huh.
you know, but we're getting it. We're getting it. And,
Okay.
you
So,
know, those of us that do this work, we're determined.
do you know Elizabeth April?
I do not.
No, oh yeah, okay. But there's so many out there. But a lot of people coming, or Candace Silvers, I don't know whether you know her or not. But anyway, so many people are coming to the planet now to help us with this ascension. Could you talk about what's happening to the planet and what's happening to us?
The planet has been poisoned, okay? And, you know, this inverted matrix that we're dealing with, there are beings here that don't have souls, okay?
Mm,
And this
mm,
is an unfortunate thing, but it is an actual truth,
mm-hmm.
okay? And those beings made agreements with certain military people, and so they could get power and weapons, and,
I see.
you know, we'll tell you how to do it if you give us what we want. Well, what do you want? We want fear, we want anger, we want regret.
Mm-hmm.
We want these people to be in that kind of mode and in that kind of state, because then we can feed on their life force.
I see.
And that's what's been going on. And
Right.
the sicker the population gets, the more these things are feeding.
So there are people who are Draco, who are diabolical, who are nefarious, who live on that kind of energy. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, there are.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Not only on this planet, but how about in the ethos? How about on other planets? How about in other parts of the galaxy? Are there individuals like that?
No, that is why this planet has been, what's the word I'm looking for?
Prison planet, some people
Secluded.
call it.
Yeah, you know, they've had to, because it's a parasitic presence,
I see.
Russ, and that parasitic presence is harming people.
Mm,
And, you know, the only way to fix this was to isolate the planet and to isolate the people in this universe until they could all be removed.
So is that removal started? Has it,
Yes,
sta-
it has.
it has started to get
It
them,
has started.
get them off.
Yes, it has. We've been at it for quite a while.
Okay. Do they get off the planet and go to another dimension? Or what?
Russ,
How's it?
that's above my pay grade.
Oh, I see.
I know that we achieve containment of them, and what happens after that, I can't tell you. Because again, that's above my pay grade.
So it's a lot of information out there.
There is.
You mentioned earlier when you first got started about incarnating dozens of times, hundreds of times, or thousands of times. How many times do you think you've been here?
Thousands.
You think so?
I have, you know, I don't think so. I know so. You know,
Why
I
would you
was
come
just
back so
telling my
many
husband,
times? I don't understand.
well, you know, initially you come, you know, to play and to have fun and
Uh
to
huh.
learn, you know, all these things. And then you find out that, wait a minute, while you came down here to play and have fun, you create a lot of damage
Uh huh.
and hurt and pain along the way. And your soul carries that with you. And when you start remembering that, now it's time to start going in the other direction.
I see.
You got to start healing that pain.
So rather than me coming back 1,000 times, what can I rush it? Can I move it faster?
Well, first you have to have acknowledgement that you've been doing it, that you've been coming back. And
I see.
once you get past the acknowledgement, you know, that this is what's been going on, now you can start looking at, you know, different patterns in your life. You know, do the same types of things keep coming up? I can remember, you know, working with young women that are in abusive situations.
Uh huh.
And I even worked with one years ago. This young lady got out of an abusive situation, and this gentleman was treating her like a queen.
Uh huh.
You know, she broke up with that guy and went back to the abusive relationship.
Wow.
You know
Wow.
why?
Why?
Because she associated that abuse with love.
I see.
She got her definitions crossed up in her mind.
Right.
And so if she wasn't being abused, then she wasn't being loved.
I see.
And so we have to work at repairing the definitions of our words.
Right. Well, once again, since we only have a limited amount of time, I wish we had an hour, but it, for people who want to get in contact with you to be helped or to be guided or directed or to find out exactly what the purpose of their existence is at this time, and you say you can do all of that, and
Yes,
you can
sir.
connect them to people who have gone on in their family. You can connect them with those kind of people, the people who have
Yes.
died or
And
gone
and
on.
not only yes, not only that, but if they're dealing with a situation, with a job situation or a relationship situation,
Hmm.
if they will go back and forth with me on what's going on, communicate with me, then I open the channel
Hmm.
and I can help them. Alls they have to do is actually hear what I'm saying.
I
Many
see.
people hear through a filter, and so it takes a process to get them to fix what is broken.
Pam
That's why
Jenkins.
there's patterns, why they keep repeating it, looping around,
Hmm.
because they keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting it to turn out different, and it
Wow,
never does.
wow, wow. So give us the one, two, threes, your telephone number, your
Telephone number is 914-620-5776.
hmm
Website is heavencallingearth.com. Email address is heavencallingearth@gmail.com.
hmm
And social media, they can find me on Facebook there's a fan page for Heaven Calling Earth, or just look up my name, Pam Jenkins.
hmm Okay. I really appreciate the all this information. But for us novice, and there's so many people like me who haven't been through all this, the analysis of this, or sensitivity of this, or tapped into our own intuition. So we don't even know why we're here in many instances. We just think maybe this is the first time. You think, how about for me? Do you think it's my first time being here?
No way.
You know
You
way?
wouldn't be doing what you're doing if it was your first time,
Why not?
because you wouldn't be that far along. You'd still be learning lessons. And I'm
Okay.
not saying you're not learning lessons, but you wouldn't be open to doing what you're doing. You would
Oh,
look at this kind of thing as so odd that it was just out of your normal ability to comprehend doing something like this.
okay.
And
Well,
and people that still have lessons are boxed into their belief systems, no
okay.
matter what it is.
Okay.
They're boxed in.
Okay. Well, Pam, again, what would you tell new people in the next minute or so about what they should be doing at this time in their lifetime, 2025, on planet Earth? What should they be doing in this movement of disclosure?
Meditation. Do not get caught up in fear, because there's nothing to fear, but there is lots to heal. Okay? And we just have to let the stuff surface and release it, because any negative emotion is something that needs healing. So pay attention to that. Meditation. We need to get into self care
Okay.
and, start really paying attention to your health, both on the physical level and the emotional level. You cannot heal the physical level without healing the emotional level. They
Okay.
go hand in hand. Okay. You can go to the doctor and get a pill or, a test or whatever. They will find things wrong with you because you're manifesting them, because you're not addressing your emotional health. Emotional and spiritual health go hand in hand, as well as physical. And the physical is the last place it shows up, and that's when it gets really painful.
Pam, I really
So we
appreciate
have to
you.
start addressing our emotional healing.
Okay. Pam, thanks a lot for being with us. I appreciate it. And let's
Thank
do it
you,
again.
Russell.
We can always come back again.
Please,
Yeah.
I would
Uh,
love to.
and so Pam Jenkins was with us. She's a psychic, intuitive, a medium. She does channeling, and she can help you become another person or realize your purpose, your goal, your objective, and your duty and responsibility to your existence at this time. And so see you next week. Same place, same time, same station. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for joining us on Lights in the Night. Keep your eyes on the skies and stay curious. Until next time, good night.